Hello, and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. We are here live on SOUQ News, and every single day is a blessing. We wake up and we say thank God for giving us another 24 hours, not just to actualize our purpose, but to be a blessing to the next person. And for other people out there, there is this word called complain, because there are problems and there are decisions, there are consequences based on the thought pattern you left to fetter and the decisions you make. But the most important part of it is this: with the problem, with the complaint, do you see the solution? Because when there is a problem, then certainly there is money hanging in somewhere if you can provide that solution. On SOUQ Pulse, will tell you to talk. Why do we need to talk? When we talk, we as a people, a unit, a community, a family, we become stronger. We see solutions when we talk. We are able to reach the ears that need to hear us talk. And so on SOUQ Pulse, we talk and we tell you, don't be quiet. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. Today, we will be talking about something that is not just peculiar to Africa. It's happening worldwide, but not at the rate at which we are having it here. For those that are wondering what is it, before I open it up, I will tell you, hey, call up your neighbors, call up your friends, tell them it's time for SOUQ Pulse. Let's sit, let's talk, let's argue, and let's come to a compromise. At the end of the day, we'll be happy with it. Today, we are looking at this particular phenomenon because we need to get productive. And so what do? We try to block every leakage. We ask ourselves direct questions. Where are we bleeding? Where is Africa bleeding? Where is Africa losing the money? The ones we can easily identify, the ones that come to mind easily, we block it. Or we shout, we scream. We tell the politician, we tell the leader, we tell the president, local government chairman. It could even be your community head or the person in your estate. No, we don't agree. But today what we're looking at, we're looking at ghost workers. And we're asking this question: who are they? They were now asking the real question: how did we get here? For those that are wondering, there are a lot of statistics that are staggering. It hits you in the face and you ask yourself, like, seriously? Now, ghost workers, be it in public or private sector, be it in small, big organization, but majorly in government establishment, civil servants, these are monies lost to people that don't exist, people that don't work. I'll take it further: people that don't do the work. Which means, in my definition, you can even be present in that particular organization, but you are not doing the work. As far as we here are concerned, you are a ghost worker. But now let's talk about those that don't even exist. Those that payroll to payroll, check to check, monies are signed, and they are not there. It's going to somewhere, an organization, a human being, an elder, a younger person, a smart person, a fraudulent individual. Those are what and who we'll be talking about today. And we are also going to ask some very direct questions. How much are we losing to this particular thing called ghost workers? To bring this to light and shed more sense and make sense out of it, because of a truth is just fraud. It's no other but our very own teacher of teachers, Dr. Idahosa. You're welcome to SOUQ Pulse, sir.
Pleasure to be here, Chooks, with you this evening. Great Nigeria in view.
In view?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I like the great Nigeria side of it. Is the in view part I'm going to check up. I'll really check it up. Before we kickstart, please permit me to just read out just few statistics for you. Now, let's go to 2016. We woke up and one particular day in the dailies, not just Nigerian dailies, both Nigerian dailies, then it got to international dailies. Nigeria caught 23,000 ghost workers from government payroll. Now, if you add that up to 10 states in that same 2016, they lost 538 billion. Kenya, the same thing, 12,000, 2016. Now, fast forward to 2022. 2022. One state, one single state, Borno to be precise, 22,556 ghost workers. One state losing 420 million every month. Now, when a lot of this stats was staring in my face, I said, no, stop. If you continue like this, some people might end up visiting the hospital. If one state can lose this as of 2022, what exactly is wrong with us. So, sir, question from our topic. Who are these ghost workers?
Well, there are several categories of people who fall within those purviews. The first is the set of people that are recruited by cartels.
Recruited by
Cartels within the public service.
Now, I think I need to write that down. Okay.
So they are recruited within the public service, and these people have name on the payroll, but they really do not resume. I heard a case recently, somebody giving a true life story of a man who had someone doing this kind of a job, you know. They registered them and they give them some peanuts at the end of the month, really. And this guy now got a job with the federal government and was going to do biometrics.
Okay.
And incidentally, it was too late because he has done one before. So he couldn't get the real job that he was looking for because he had shortchanged himself. So you have some people like that who, of course, these very decrepit people within the public service. They find a way to create those platforms, and then you see they take the salary at the end of the month.
The cartels.
The cartels, yeah. There are
nameless cartels.
Cartels, of course, they are within the system. You have also find situations where people also had not followed the laid down procedure for recruitment within public service. And then these people are recruited, but they have not been captured by the office of the head of service as duly employed. And you see that in most of the situation where you see head of agencies, head of department doing recruitment, but without really necessary approval. So you see, if you go to some hospital, you see auxiliary nurse and nurses, doctor employed by the institution.
Where is the salary coming from?
Yeah, this is the thing. They have not been rectified. So some of all these things find their names somehow on the payroll of some certain people. I say, oh, they are our staff. But of course, they have not been really regularized, as it were,
okay,
so that they get their biometrics and they are. But then, of course, really they are going to work. But because the recruitment process was not legal, so to speak, the federal can capture it. But when they are returning their, for example, now their overhead.
They return the overhead to the federal.
Yes, when the overhead, see, you know the way the envelope system work in budget. So if budget will say, okay, what is due for us in this month? We go and take it. So the agency decide how they spend it. But after spending, you need to also retire this thing back. So you say, okay, how many staff did you pay this month? So you find these things. And this is where, for example, the ingenuity of the government to have developed IPPIS was really very commendable. And you saw some agency pull out of IPPS. And of course, the greatest anti-IPPS had been SOUQ.
The greatest bully
in the recent time, because they don't want to be part of that system. And of course, you also know the reason why, which of course is not always in that front domain by many people. And so you keep hearing that they say, oh, IPPS cannot capture the peculiarity of our work. And there's really nothing that's as peculiar in that work system except that the fact that there's a law in Nigeria that says that you cannot work for two federal agencies at the same time and earn salary from both. So you find that most of the time, SOUQ do go on sabbatical. And when they go on sabbatical, it's expected that they are still on the payroll of the government. And they are not supposed to be in another federal institution during the period of the sabbatical. And that's one argument that, of course, I felt that government really didn't handle too well.
So
Because,
at that point in time, do
yeah,
you consider this
yeah.
dual worker?
The dual worker.
The
So this
second
is what,
person is a ghost worker.
yes, so it's a ghost worker. So what you are doing now, if you are a university lecturer here, and then, of course, you have gone on a sabbatical somewhere, your name is on payroll here, but because you are in a sabbatical in another state, your name come on a payroll. So that's a problem. And so IPPS can capture that. So that's why, of course, they were opting for alternative. So what you are going to see is that there was a small way of resolving that. It's either you go abroad for your sabbatical or you go to a private university or a state-owned university. In that case, you will not be captured as federal worker in two places. So these are some of the nitty-gritty around the situation that we're talking about.
We are here looking at what is causing nations to bleed, what is making Nigeria bleed, where I come from. What is causing states to bleed? For those that are wondering, we stopped at Borno and refused to go further because when we do, some people might cry. I say so with all sense of sincerity, looking at what is happening in local government, majorly, then federal government and state government. Now, private organizations also suffer the same thing. Now, sir, let's ask this particular question. My name is still Chooks, and I have Dr. Idahosa still here. Not happy one bit. These are one of those topics we say, whether it's good or bad, we'll talk about it. What factors is necessitating this ghost worker syndrome?
Well, I think for me, there are basic issues here. Number one is the quickest definition to corruption is where you have people with substantial authority, and then, of course, they have discretion. Then, of course, it's easy for that to be abused, really. So most of the time, you see the situation this is wired allow for some of all these things. Some people just feel that, look, it's a way to make extra income or make extra money from government. That's one side of it. But there's also another side, which is, of course, the most terrible side of it, is the adoption of technology, which, of course, a lot of public office had refused to adopt. Because, number one, if you adopt technology, all these audits that they talk about would not find a place. Just yesterday, I was asking the corpers in here, and they said they are going for audit. And I said, why? Why do you need to screen corpers? If everybody has done biometric at the point of entry, and you have the database of people with biometric, there are no two people who have the same thumbprint. So at the point that people are coming for their clearance, what they do is they come and they do the biometrics and then they move ahead. So you don't need to carry everybody together and sit down in one room and they say you are doing audit for them. It doesn't make sense. You see also this happen when we are talking about retired people who had worked all their years, and then, of course, we are calling them to a central place to say you are doing clearance. It's unheard of. And this is because we have failed to adopt technology to deal with some of our problems. Now, another factor that, of course, is also very obvious is record keeping, which is very poor in public offices. I give you one very instant. It was a very sad one some years ago. I have this a friend of mine who had a cousin. He was relieved of his duty in Lagos here as a police officer. And this chap had faced his life doing other menial things. 10 years after, a signal came from Maiduguri that he was transferred.
I'm sorry I had to laugh, but
Yeah. See,
like really transferred.
Transferred, yeah.
So, which means for the past 10 years,
10 years,
somebody somewhere,
of course, would have been sitting down, taking those salaries in and all that. So, yeah, but here you have the fact that the records are not there. How do we record our debts and bet? It's a problem here. And so it is this problem of documentation that is creating the environment and the atmosphere for some of these shady things to happen. Because you see a staff who is dead.
Are they shady or is it a crime?
Yeah, but they are crime against the state. They are criminal acts, really, so to speak. That you see, people are dead. Of course, their names are not gone off their
Payroll
roster,
system.
their payroll system. But somebody know that they are dead. But rather than remove their name from those payroll system, you still keep their name. And those are some of the things that happen. I remember some time ago we're seeing people who are elevated to form a committee, and then of course their names are dead people.
Well, let's not get there.
Yeah.
If we get there, we'll really shake this table beyond where we are going to. But now, talking about shaking tables, now let's look at political considerations. We have major power players in Africa, and once they are appointed in political places, we'll get to hear appointment this, appointment that. But we don't really get to see the people or the effect of those that are appointed. Are these also part of what is adding to the numbers of ghost workers?
Well, yeah, from the point of view of the appointing agencies and officers, you see those ones you can see. This is SA, and they can have one person have 100 or 1,000 SAs.
Yes, but we've also seen where certain class of political office holders come and announce that he's appointing 10,000, 15,000, 20-something thousand people from each local government as an assistant to what we don't know.
Yeah, I think it's not just about, it's also the fact that we have loopholes in our legal system, and especially the bigger problem which we face is the way budgeting is done in this particular part of our client. You take, for example, if you get to the National Assembly and they have officers who are attached to them, their salary is actually tied to their own salary.
Okay, so for every aid, the salary is tied to the salary
of the legislature, so who eventually will
So
pay.
if you decide to appoint 15, that's your business.
Your business. So if you decide not to appoint, of course.
To God be the glory.
Yeah, because the constitution has given you a role to say you can appoint a certain number of aides who are supposed to be assisting you. So what you do with that is a different ball game. So I think the solution really, which of course is for me, is African adopting e-government.
Okay. Now, talking about e-government, let's look at the Integrated Payroll Personnel Information System, the IPPIS. Now, you've talked about that before. But of late, we've come to see that even the IPPIS itself, people, certain unknown, unnamed actors have found a way of playing around it. What exactly is making that not to work? Is it a human factor, or is it somebody somewhere that has refused to follow that strictly?
I don't think that IPPIS is not working. I have some very close friends in it, and I think the system is working.
The system is working.
I
but
think,
the people around the system.
No, I think the problem is that there's a whole lot of misinformation
in implementation
and disinformation within the political system too.
Okay.
Because people are deliberate in trying to pull down whatever a regime is doing, and sometimes some of
Is it whatever a regime is doing, or whatever will stop them from carrying on their project?
Yeah, but whatever it is, people are just trying to find a way to sabotage you and ensure that you have rumors that, of course, are unfounded.
Okay. Can we lay those to rest like now?
Yeah, that is the point I'm trying to make. So, because if you look at the argument that ASO had, the fact is not the fact that people were manipulating it, all is that there are some of the things that they could not capture. And one of the issues there is that because it's a program system where people put in security had been tried and the security is working, whether at the back end or at the front end. And of course, it's even the hosting company that you have to understand that there are not people here that tampers with what you are putting in your programming into those systems. You see, but the blackmail is on IPPIS, and that is deliberate.
Why?
Because
why the blackmail?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't want to enroll on it, and I think that's the real issue.
Why don't they want to enroll on it?
Yeah, because if you enroll on it, then your foul plays now in the open, and people don't want that. And that is where people are saying. I was asking a friend of mine the other day, and he said to me, he said, look, he had a friend who's a lecturer, and they say, oh, his salary has been cut. I said, why is it's only lecturer that their salary is cut? Medical doctors are on IPPS. We have not seen any complaint.
Okay. Why
Other core civil servants are on IPPS. We have not
no
seen
complaint?
anybody whose salary has been cut, except those in the academy. So that tells you that there's something
What about
that's fundamentally
states?
wrong.
What about local government?
Yeah, but you see, that's at the macro level. You can also come to the micro level. Many of the states that you see, a lot of them are also not, have not even put the technology in place first in the first place to be able to capture who your real staffs are. And this thing boils down to the national dilemma of having to identify every single Nigeria, which we have failed to do in the last.
Before we start thinking of identifying every single Nigerian, let's first identify those that are collecting monies they did not work for.
No. You see, why that is
Local government
no.
workforce.
Why for me it's the solution eventually
Okay.
is that if we have a single ID system that works,
Okay.
that contains all your data, it will show where you work, and all those information will be
Where you
programmed.
work part time.
Yes, will be programmed into the server so that even if as your information are changing, you will be updating it with your ID system. Now that ID system will tell us where you are at a particular point in time. So when you are getting to be paid, is the ID system, your ID that will show. So once they send your ID into a computer system, it will be able to call out what you do, where you do it, and all those things will be just clear. And if I'm going to be employed, and of course, by the time I'm filling my form, the first thing they will ask is your ID number. So once you place your ID number there, if you are working somewhere, that would have been captured. So this is the way to go for most African states to see how we can register and identify every single body in this country. I know, for example, in the UAE, a child is born today, the following day his identity card is ready. You don't even need to struggle for it.
Okay. That comes directly from where the person was born.
Yes, from the hospital. So they are able to process all of that. Before the child is discharged from the hospital, he has the Emirate ID with a unique number on it.
Okay. We still have to go back to these particular places. Places where we are finding it very difficult to account for human beings and monies. Now, like you said, budget year in, year out comes, budget disbursed. Those that return, that we are finding it difficult because most budgets, once it goes out, it has gone out. Now let's look at the states. The federal government has come up with the IPPIS. Now, to some particular extent, it has been agreed and is functioning in those particular places. Now that push needs to continue. What should the government do to make sure that every single government agency, even down to the new ones or the ones that are far from the central, are on that particular system?
You know, that's where a lot of people talk about political will on the part of those who are the helms of affair. If you have a leader who has strong political will and is daring to do something right, of course, you go ahead and do it right. But most of the issues that you find, and I don't think it's just with the IPPIS where you see people are pulling out. Even in the contributory pension, the same thing has happened.
But when it comes to pension, now we have issues. We've seen where pensions disappear.
No, it's not even about disappearing. It's that you have some local government agencies who say, oh, we cannot be part of it. And so they went to seek exemption from the federal government, and of course they were granted these exemptions. But I think law, as they say towards the image of the law, is a woman who is blindfolded and is not supposed to be seeing anybody. And I think this is the way our law should operate, that we don't need to be looking at people's peculiarity. When we look at a particular situation, we find and create an environment where some of all these things need to succeed. But unfortunately, most time we don't have political will to do some certain things. And so when you need cheap popularity, you succumb to some certain pressure so that you can
When you say we don't have political will, can you define the we and the will? Who is the we and what exactly is the will?
Well, you see, for me, I don't like to put blame in one person's doorpost. I see this happen across board, whether in the public or private sector, where people want to take decisions, sentiment, emotions, come into play in really reaching what should be for the common good of everybody. So this is the will, the determination, the courage to take a decision and stand with it. So, irrespective of the consequences that come, that consequence could even mean you losing election or losing an appointment. But what we've seen here in Africa is that people are not given to are resigning or losing appointment.
Okay, now, is it a case of political considerations when the person that is up there knows fully well that those under him that helped win the election are going to employ people that won't do the job, but names are being filled across board, across states, across local governments?
No, but I don't think it's deliberate on the part of the public office holders. I remember when we had a session with the Public Account Committee of the House of Representatives. One of the issues, of course, which were very profound and touched our heart there was the fact that they said because their legislature really they don't have executive power, so they cannot sign contract, they cannot award businesses, they cannot create employment and all of that. But by the time they go back to their constituency, everybody want to judge them like the governor and say, you have been senator for 8 years now. What have
did
you
you
done
do?
for your people? Now, so they are struggling to do something for the people. And this is where you find that, of course, in our budget system, where people are now factoring in what they call constituency project, which for me was, of course, a matter of duplication. That there are ways to have done all these things and program this thing incrementally into the budgetary system. That if we say, okay, what's the project that we want to do? If it is water project, road project, if it's an electricity project, or you are doing health project, then we factor it into the overall budget. And then, of course, the agencies that are involved go ahead to implement. But we have not seen this really work out because these people feel that it is only the executive that steals the show. So if they have to remain relevant within the political domain and space, they must also look for ways to create these avenues for people to profit.
Okay, if they are creating these avenues for people to profit, government is losing.
Oh,
Government is
yes,
bleeding.
certainly so, yeah.
The budget itself is suffering. The money we need to implement the budget itself, somebody or a group or a cartel, as you called it, is taking it away. Now, let's come back to states. What exactly do you think is stopping states from implementing manpower audits?
Well, we cannot speculate here because we are not at the State SOUQ Council to know why and what is stopping them from doing what is due. But one factor for me, which is clear, is what, of course, I feel that we need really serious engagement about as a people, and that's the challenge of looking at the cost of running elections in Nigeria. This is, for me, the most fundamental issue that should be addressed.
The cost of running elections, does it have a runoff on what happens after elections?
Oh, of course, certainly so. Because if people get into office and they have to mortgage their houses, sell their stocks and shares to be able to win election, and by the time they win, you are not expecting them to live lower than where they were. So they have to look for opportunity really to measure up. Because like they say, you can't eat your cake and have it. And this is what most society...
Opportunity to measure up.
Yeah.
Okay. You're trying to use good words to qualify.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. You have spent all your life savings trying to get a system. And then, of course, the people that you want to help are actually the ones who are taking this money off you, really. So you take the money off, like they say, before the event, and then after the event, you come back to say this person is not working. Was it going to work?
I wish I had direct answers to that particular question. But now let's go back to this. Now we are having issues where we are seeing this same thing play out in pensions fund, where people are being paid that were not even captured from where they said they were worked before, and pension money is being depleted. Not people that are dead. That's the sad part of it. You can say maybe an annuitant is dead, so they've not found out and the money is still going. But this large chunk or this large number were not even in the workforce in the first place. How are these names getting in?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you. The recruitment process, if it's not healthy.
For pension, for pension and gratuity.
Yeah, you see, people can work in a place and they are there illegally for as long as you can talk about. So that's possible because you have a very porous system that is not foolproof. So you cannot really say, oh, we are sure of the numbers. And especially in an environment where we have similar names. I was doing a search the other day and I see a ZAT name.
Okay.
In multiple places, but with different addresses.
And different ages.
So you can be Ishola Adebayo. And when you go Ishola Adebayo, you can see like 100 entry.
Same name, same
spell. Same name, same spell, everything the same. Surname, first name, the same. In some cases, you see each alter the first name before surname. So those things you find eventually because of the way we give name to our children and the rest of it. So these are also issues that also you must consider when you look at the issue on the ground.
Okay, now let's look at solutions. If we need to start stopping this bleeding, if we need to start stopping this amount of waste, where should we start?
It's simple. Adopt technology.
Technology at what point? Point of entry or central point?
You see, the technology has to be adopted wholesale. You know, like they say, it's procure to pay.
So do we need to break the entire system down and say, if you think you're employed and now you are here, come in and register? Is that the kind of technology you're looking at? Or we move from the analog ledger to technology, where that will also be an issue?
Yeah, the point I'm making is that technology can really solve a lot of this problem we're having, because if we embrace technology, we will be able to capture everybody biometric face-wise. I remember when I went for my UAE card, this is not our own biometric that we are putting on here. With the anticipation that these hands may not be there, even your side hands are captured, complete.
And your eye.
Oh yeah, your eye wide open. So there's no mistaking about your identity. So the system had really fully captured it. So these are the kind of measures that we need to put in place. But I think there's a whole lot of leakages and loopholes in our systems, that resources are flying and filtering away, that we need to close. UAE since 2015 had implemented what they call cashless society and paperless economy.
Okay. If we follow cashless society and paperless economy, great and fine. Now, the banks introduced the code some years back where everybody's digits is more like 10 right now. And it's no longer, our banks are no longer analog. That's for sure. Which means every single person, if you don't have that particular bank code, they can be traced. Every account can be traced. Everybody who has that account can be traced.
Well,
Why do we still have issues?
To my extent, yes, you may say the banks are not analog. It depends on
everybody has a NUBA number.
Yes, we all have NUBA number, but in terms of transactions with the bank, there are no things you can do from your house. For
salary payment, those salaries gets to the bank. Mm-hmm. Good. So where are those ghost workers collecting the salary from? These are things that are just ringing in my head. Is it going into one single account?
Yeah, but by the law of contract, if, for example, I have a name with bank and I can provide valid ID card, the commercial bank has no right to say they are not going to pay me because I bear a name that's similar to somebody else.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
20-something thousand in the particular state.
Once it is certified by the approving authority. Okay. So you won't just go to bank and say pay salary. Somebody issued the mandate. Now the person who is giving the mandate is the one who will determine
where it's going.
Where it is going. So those mandates come with account number. And don't forget, if you watch closely our society, you see people who are collecting account details on a regular basis. And they tell you there is one grant that's coming somewhere, we are applying, and people put their name, put their account number, and put their details. I've seen that happen in this Lagos.
Okay, now, so this particular issue of ghost workers, let's now take it to a point state. Some few years back, the present Minister of Power, Present Minister of Works, who happens to be Omai, he came down heavy on local governments for monies they've collected over the years that went directly to ghost workers, and were able to single out who and the cartel that were doing that, and he asked for a refund. Is it possible for other state governors to start to follow the same suit and say, okay, good, since we've been paying you, or governors before have paid you, and you made us pay you extra before I came in, give us refund our monies?
It's possible once you have governors who have the right political will to enforce such a policy measure. It's all about will, because in this part of the world, what is critical to people, especially when you are operating a very defective and faulty democracy, that we seem to be the order of the day, people are considerate on what happened when the next party comes into office.
Once the next party come into office, everybody to wash their hand out of the problem.
Oh yeah, that's it. So it's like turn by turn.
Turn by turn. Now, for those that are wondering, this particular issue that has to do with ghost workers concerns every single one of us. So if you know that you are not working, let's even get there. What about those that are employed and are not doing the work? Are they also classified as ghost workers?
No, not really. If they are duly employed, registered, they may be true ones who don't come to work. Yeah, I have plenty of them, because really there's no work to be done. And
What about where there is work to be done, but they don't do it?
yeah, but
What about those that are employed, but they were not employed to work in the first place?
yeah, that is it. We find such system working in our environment because of our value system. So when you have a very weak value system, people can succumb to anything with little pressure. So this is the outcome that you get. If you have people who have strong orientation in terms of values, they'll be able to differentiate what is profane from what is sacred.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you on SOUQ Pulse. We had to bring this on today, and for those that were also here yesterday, we keep telling you this. It doesn't matter whether it's good news or bad news, whether it's bad behavior or good behavior, whether it's something that is positive or negative. We talk about it. Today we spoke about ghost workers. You've been part of it. Yesterday we talked about generators. And our guest was not just happy about we talking about generators, but we needed to talk about it. Now, whatever it takes to get us productive, we will. And we can't get productive when we are leaking. So we need to block those particular leakages. It's SOUQ Pulse. And remember, on SOUQ News, we are all about positive programming. Here we tell you, don't keep quiet. Let's get talking. We will surely be heard. Thank you for being part of the program today. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Always a pleasure to have this conversation with you from time to time.
Thank you. Now, we will repeat this particular program again. You know, it's 4 o'clock. We'll be here tomorrow, Wednesday, and we will have a beautiful time. Remember, always join SOUQ News for your regular programming by 7 on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have SBL, that's the SOUQ Business Landscape. Then Early Exchange follows by 8 o'clock. Then you have Market Insight, where every single detail about the market, what's happening with the dollar, how is the Naira going, how is cities going, where you should invest. Sometimes they get to tell you. Then you have the news at 3. Then you have SOUQ Pulse by 4. Remember, you also have sports Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And hey, Paris is calling. Don't forget that. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, be nice. Bye.